Let's go to the Gilly Crane Construction Hotline, the Gilly Crane Hotline. Crane rental 24/7. Gilly works when you work. Any size crane for any size job. No job is too big. No job is too small. It's Gilly Crane. Let's go to the Gilly Crane Hotline as on line one from the Cat Country broadcast of Moore County football. Rick Throneberry joins us. Another big win for Moore County tonight. Moore County 2-0. Rick, congratulations.
Yes, and Dennis, the coaches, if you talk to everybody, they'll say you make the most improvement from game one to game two. As I mentioned there in the pregame show, that 14 points of the 30 points that Moore County scored last week came off of special teams. But tonight, they had almost 500 yards of total offense. But, Dennis, this is one of the weirdest games I've ever called in my life. The Community Vikings, every time they had an opportunity to kick off, which we think there were 5 of them, they onside kicked every one of them, and they didn't recover any of them. So they gave Moore County the short end of the field to start on every possession. And the onside kicks wasn't one of those kind of where it end over end and it's bouncing all over the place. It was straight to a Moore County hands guy, so to speak. But the weirdest play, Dennis, there was one of the Moore County players had a cramp. And as you know, on an injury timeout, it's really just enough time to get that player off the field, and the game is still alive. Well, the Community Viking coach has their team on his sideline talking to them in a huddle. Well, Moore County and the referees blew the whistle. Moore County lined up and handed off to Corey Cashin, and he went from the 10 all the way to the 5, and it was so funny because the Vikings were coming out of their huddle on the sideline chasing a Moore County running back who had already had the ball halfway down the field. Just a crazy game tonight with all the onside kicks. They had about 6 personal fouls. It was just not a good night for the Vikings of Community, and in 2 games they have allowed 105 points. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them. But Moore County, Dennis, you know, it's my first year of covering this in single A, and it is just amazing the potency they got. And they don't line up with their quarterback is under the center every play. No shotgun formation for Moore County. So it's kind of odd to be calling a high school football game and not see a read option offensive performance, so to speak.
I understand Corey Cashin had about 200 yards rushing tonight. Had a big game for him, right?
He had 27 carries tonight. Now, he's going to be a happy, sore guy tomorrow, but that is a lot of carries, Dennis, in my opinion, for a high school running back. But they couldn't stop him, and it was they run kind of a wing T kind of offense, but it doesn't look like a wing T. They will send a end in motion and come back with Cashins or Sweeten. They fake it 2 or 3 times, but they line up in a straight eye.
All right.
And Schuler is under center, but it's obvious that Moore County did improve a whole lot from game 1 to game 2. Next week we'll be home against Cornersville, our first home game, and it's a conference game. So that'll be kind of interesting to see getting back into their conference to see gauge them a little bit better than what we've had our first 2 games.
All righty, Rick. Have a safe drive home. Sounds like you're in the middle of the road, so have a safe drive home, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right, Dennis, have a good one.
That is Rick Throneberry with a WHW.
I don't know what that a foghorn going on
with Cat Country in Tullahoma.